Hello, dear listeners. This is your favorite storyteller and hopeless romantic, Gwen Fairfax. You are welcome to my creative heaven where I bring you the best of my imagination, take your mind away from the troubles of the world, and tame your heart with fiction, romance, and drama. This is your first time stopping on this safe space, you are most welcome. I promise that you will love it here. But if you are an oldie but goodie, thank you for your continuous support and love. You are loved and appreciated. Please like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Buckle your seatbelts as we take a ride on another amazing episode of your favorite story, Unappreciated Treasure. Enjoy. After leaving Hank behind at the hockey games, Chelsea returned to her apartment. She could not help but cry her eyes out. Her heart was so heavy that she fell on the couch and covered her face with her palms. After crying to her heart's content, she went into the bathroom and took a shower. A while later, there was a ring at her door. She knew it was Hank, and she didn't want to see him. Person kept on ringing the doorbell non-stop. Chelsea got up from her bed and went to the door. When she opened the door, she was surprised to see who was there. It was not the person she had expected to see. "Mr. Maximilian?" she muttered. Daniel walked in without being asked to come in. Chelsea kept stretching her neck to see if someone else was standing outside. Daniel's voice jolted her back to reality. "If you are looking for Hank, don't worry. He isn't here." He turned to face her. "Chelsea, have you been crying?" Daniel asked as he saw how red and swollen Chelsea's eyes were. Chelsea stuttered as she responded. No. Soap got into my eyes when I was taking a bath." Daniel didn't want to make the situation even more awkward than it already was. "Chelsea, please listen to me. Hank never knew Clarissa was going to kiss him. You remember he was talking to you when Clarissa forcefully kissed him. Know that you are the only one Hank loves." Chelsea was trying so hard to believe what Daniel said, but she couldn't erase the pain in her heart. "Mr. Maximilian, you know what? Clarissa is right. Hank is way out of my league. I don't belong in your world." Daniel raised his eyebrows as he looked at Chelsea. "Did Clarissa say anything to you?" Chelsea realized she had said too much. "Please, Mr. Maximilian, forget that I said anything." Daniel cursed under his breath. "Damn it. How could that witch say something like that to you? Chelsea, please listen to me. Whatever Clarissa said, don't pay any mind to it, okay?" Chelsea let out a heavy sigh. "Mr. Maximilian, I think it is getting late and I need to rest." Daniel knew it was his cue to leave. He just nodded and bid Chelsea goodnight. Meanwhile, someone was waiting inside the car. When Daniel walked into the car, Hank anxiously asked, "Dee, how is she? Is she okay? Is she crying?" Daniel held Hank's shoulder. "It doesn't look good. It shows she has been crying, and from every indication, Clarissa had told her something which is making her doubt being with you. I think you have a lot of work to do to gain her trust back." Hank was shattered. He just leaned back in the car and closed his eyes. Daniel ignited the engine and drove away. It had been a few days. Hank kept sending messages and calling Chelsea, but she didn't respond to any of them. As he sat in his office chair looking like a finished man, there was a knock on his door. The door gently creaked open, and Clarissa walked in. "Hank, please can we talk?" Clarissa had a somber look on her face. Hank raised his head from his computer and asked, "Clarissa, what the hell are you doing here? Haven't you done enough already? You should be happy I haven't fired you yet." Just like on cue, Clarissa burst out crying hysterically. "Hank, I am so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. You know I will never do anything deliberately to hurt you. I thought the kiss cam was just a prank and I didn't know it was going to affect you and Chelsea this bad." As she spoke, the tears came running down her cheeks like a broken faucet. "Hank, I am willing to go to Chelsea and apologize, even if it means me kneeling and begging." Her tears and sorrowful face caught Hank's attention. His heart softened as he stood up and walked towards her. "Clarissa, it is okay. You don't have to do that. It is my mess and I will fix this myself." Before he could realize it, Clarissa hugged him and thanked him for sparing her. This startled Hank, and he slowly peeled Clarissa off of him. "Listen, Clarissa. I know we have spoiled you so much and you tend to act recklessly sometimes. Try not to do this again, okay?" Clarissa nodded like a little girl and walked out of Hank's office. She stood outside Hank's door and there was an evil smile on her face. "It takes just a little sorrowful face and Hank will always let me off the hook. You will be mine, Hank." She gave one more glance at Hank's door and went back to her office. Meanwhile, back at Maximilian Holdings, it was after lunch and Chelsea was working on her computer when her phone chimed. It was a message from Hank. She opened the message and it read, "My little fairy. Not hearing your voice this past few days has been hell for me. Please can I see you? I would like to explain everything that happened. Please don't say no." Chelsea knew it was not completely Hank's fault. She had overreacted and blamed him for what Clarissa did. She took in a deep breath and replied, "Hi, Hank. Let's meet tomorrow at the Goose Cafe. 10 a.m. She pressed send and dropped her phone on the table. She didn't want to be interrupted while doing her job. It was the end of the day and Erica walked up to Chelsea. "Hey, Chelsea. It's weekend. It's been a rough week and Cleopatra, Ruben and I are going out tonight to chuck some alcohol down. It's Friday night. Will you be joining us?" It had indeed been a rough week. Chelsea really needed to blow some steam off. She agreed and said she was down. After work, the team headed out to central London, where the popular clubhouses and drinking spots were located. They went into one of the lounges and had the best time of their life. The whole team was drunk except for Chelsea. The responsibility of sending everyone home now lay in Chelsea's hands. As they left the lounge, they bumped into Daniel and another man. They were entering the lounge. "Mr. Maximilian," Erica called out as she spotted him. Daniel turned and saw Chelsea struggling to hold them up. "Chelsea, I can see you and your team came out for a Friday night." Before Chelsea could say anything, the drunk Cleopatra left Chelsea's hand and clung on Daniel like a leech. "Oh, isn't this our very handsome Mr. Maximilian? I used to dream that you and I would get married. But ever since I heard you were dating Laura Mendez, I had to switch to my Prince Charming, Mr. Fitzwilliam." She let out a drunken laughter as she staggered backward. Corners of Daniel's mouth rose into a smile. "Chelsea, I can see your teammates are really dramatic." Chelsea was so embarrassed. She felt like the earth should just open up and swallow her completely. She gave an awkward laughter as she said, "I am so sorry, Mr. Maximilian. She is drunk and doesn't know what she is talking about. I will let you enjoy the rest of your evening." She held them and bolted outside. After putting Cleopatra and Erica in a taxi, she went back for Ruben. As she stood by the roadside holding Ruben, who was as drunk as a skunk, she waited for his taxi to arrive. With a drunken voice, Ruben said to Chelsea, "Chelsea, please let's go back inside and continue drinking. I don't want to go back home. My mom will keep nagging that I should get married. And I don't even have a girlfriend." Chelsea couldn't help but laugh at how silly Ruben was. Fortunately, his taxi arrived and Chelsea struggled and put him inside. Phew. God. Never again am I going out for a drink with these guys. She turned around and walked over to her bus stop. Unfortunately for Chelsea, Hank was driving back from a meeting and he saw Ruben's hands wrapped around Chelsea's neck. Wait a minute. Is that not Chelsea? Who is that man hugging her? He was so carried away by jealousy and rage, so much that he grabbed his phone so tight that the screen cracked and shattered. His hand was bleeding and he didn't even feel the pain. With a voice that was as cold as ice, he spoke through clenched teeth. Asher? Take me to Oasis. This was not a good sign. Asher knew that this was not the best course of action for Hank. Whenever Hank went to Oasis, it was definitely to blow out steam. Asher knew better than to utter a single word. He just nodded and turned the car to the opposite direction of Hank's penthouse. When they got to Oasis, Hank dashed straight to his private suite. Meanwhile, Clarissa and her friends were at Oasis having some girl time. She saw Hank walking in with a dark look on his face. She remembered hearing her brother having a conversation with Daniel talking about Oasis. She had asked him what was so special about Oasis. She had been there a couple of times, but there was nothing so eye-catching about the place. Then her brother had told her that Hank had a private suite there. Whenever they visited Oasis, it was either to cool off their anger or to drink till they dropped. So when she saw Hank walking in with an angry countenance, she mumbled to herself, "Oh Lala, talk of luck. The stars are aligning in my favor." She spent about 45 minutes with her friends before leaving. "Hey girls. There has been an emergency at home. I need to rush back. See you girls next time. Don't worry about the drinks. I have taken care of the bill." She smiled as she walked to the gold private elevator that led to Hank's suite. When she got there, it was locked and could not be accessed manually. Then a guard walked up to her. "Excuse me, ma'am. You shouldn't be here. This is a private elevator." Clarissa had not expected the place to be guarded. She cleared her throat and replied with so much condescension laced in her voice. "And who the hell are you to stop me? I am on my way to see Henry Fitzwilliam." The guard did not budge. "Ma'am, you will have to leave now before I throw you out." Clarissa was panicking inwardly, but she couldn't let it show. She couldn't let this opportunity pass by. She put on a stern face and replied, "Listen to me. I am Hank's woman. He asked me to meet him here. I am sure he got here like 45 minutes ago. Imagine what he will do if he learns that you stopped me from meeting him. If this woman knew he got here like 45 minutes ago, then Mr. Fitzwilliam probably must have invited her over." The guard thought to himself. The guard still didn't want to take chances. He called Hank's suite to verify if he was expecting anyone. Clarissa's heart was thumping like a trapped bird. The guard called twice, but there was no response. Clarissa could feel the cold sweat on her forehead disappear. She cleared her throat and said, "He wouldn't answer because he is in the shower. Imagine what he would do if I should leave without seeing him." The guard didn't want his head on a plate. He didn't want to cross the ruthless Henry Fitzwilliam. He just nodded his head and opened the elevator. When Clarissa got into Hank's private suite, Hank laid on the couch all wasted. There was an empty vodka bottle on the table. His eyes were barely open when Clarissa rushed to him. "Hank, are you okay?" When Hank heard Clarissa's voice and saw the woman that was before him, all he could see was his mountain fairy. With a voice that was barely audible, he said, "My little fairy, you came. I have missed you so much. Please don't leave me. I love you so much, Chelsea." Clarissa's stomach churned. How could he be thinking of that brat Chelsea? "Anyway, after tonight, Hank, you will be mine." With a voice as sweet as the murmur of a gentle brook, Clarissa replied, "Hank, I am here now. I love you too. I have loved you for so long." Before Clarissa could complete her sentence, Hank pulled her into his arms and pressed his lips to hers. He kissed her passionately and hungrily. What will Hank do when he wakes up and realizes what happened the night before? Meanwhile, it was the next day, and Chelsea had woken up quite early. Since it was Saturday, she had a couple of things to do before meeting Hank. At exactly 10 o'clock in the morning, Chelsea was already waiting for Hank at Gus' Cafe. 30 minutes had passed, but Hank had not arrived. This was so unlike him. Hank was someone known for his punctuality and reliability. What could be happening? Chelsea thought to herself. She took out her phone and dialed Hank's number. His phone had been switched off. She waited for 2 hours, but Hank still didn't show up. Chelsea was so mad that she picked up her bag and walked out of the cafe. Since it was her favorite holiday season, the Christmas season, she decided to take a walk. As Chelsea walked down the Christmas-decorated street, her heart was heavy with disappointment. The twinkling lights above brought a warm glow, yet they barely touched her sadness. She paused, inhaling the sweet scent of gingerbread from a nearby cafe, which brought a flicker of a smile. Laughter from children building snowmen filled the air, contrasting her worries. Despite her turmoil, the festive cheer began to soothe her, reminding her of life's simple joys. With every step, the spirit of the season whispered to her, inviting her to embrace a little warmth. Meanwhile, back at El Corazon, Hank woke up with a banging headache. He sat up from the bed and held his head with both hands. When he was fully awake, he realized he was in his penthouse and not Oasis. But how did he get there? As he sat there thinking, the door was suddenly pushed open. Daniel walked in with his face full of rage. With a voice that was so cold and reprimanding, he said, "So you are finally awake?" Hank raised his head and asked, "Daniel, how did I get here?" "I was at Oasis last night." Daniel, who was waiting to lash out on Hank, said, How can you be this wicked? How could you do this to Chelsea? I thought you were in love with her." "I am so disappointed with you, bro." Hank was completely oblivious of what Daniel was saying. With a darker tone, Hank asked, "Daniel, what are you talking about? And what is all this talk about you being disappointed and me hurting Chelsea?" Daniel, who was trying so hard not to hit Hank, said, "Hank, what were you doing with Clarissa at Oasis? Only God knows what would have happened if I didn't get there on time to stop you from making the worst mistake of your life." Hank raised his eyebrows. "Clarissa? What nonsense are you talking about?" Daniel went ahead to explain what had happened. Previous night, the guard at Oasis had called Daniel. He wasn't sure Clarissa was telling the truth, so he wanted to confirm with Daniel. "Mr. Maximilian, I am calling in regards to Mr. Fitzwilliam. There is a woman here who says she is his woman, and I tried calling Mr. Fitzwilliam to check with him, but he didn't respond." Daniel smiled and thought it was Chelsea who had gone to see Hank. But the guard had said the woman was rude and condescending. Chelsea, he knew, was friendly and polite, so he asked the guard to describe the woman. When he did, Daniel clenched his hand into a fist. "That which Clarissa. Listen to me. I want you to go to that suite and ensure nothing happens between those two. I am on my way. If something should happen between the two of them, I will make sure I break your neck." He ended the call and the guard unconsciously held his throat. He went up to Hank's suite and rang the bell. Clarissa, who was straddling Hank and trying to take off his shirt, let out a frustrating groan. She got up from Hank and walked to the door. When she saw the guard, she said angrily, "What is it? Can't my man and I have some alone time? Now leave." The guard stood there and said nothing. Before Clarissa could open her mouth to speak, Daniel came rushing like lightning. When Clarissa saw him, her face became pale with fright. She knew she was done for. She stuttered, Daniel, what are you doing here?" Daniel went ahead and pushed Clarissa aside. She fell on the ground and hit her bum. Daniel turned and saw Hank lying helplessly and unconscious on the couch. "Clarissa, what have you done to him?" Daniel rushed to Hank and realized he was drunk. He returned to where Clarissa was sitting and pulled her up by her throat. "You are lucky I don't hit women. If not, I would have sent your soul straight to hell. Now get out before I change my mind." Clarissa, who was scared to the bone, picked her purse and rushed out like a thief at midnight. When Hank heard everything Daniel had said, he could not believe his ears. He suddenly turned to Daniel and said, "It is over. Chelsea has a different man now. I saw them last night hugging and smooching on the street. Daniel was surprised. He let out a sarcastic laughter. He knew Chelsea was not that kind of person. I don't know if you are high on some expired weed. What makes you think that was her new boyfriend? What if that was her brother or a friend? Then Daniel's eyes shot wide as if he had realized something. Wait, did you say you saw Chelsea at Sycamore Avenue at around 11 p.m.? Hank nodded. Then Daniel asked, was the guy in question having blonde hair and wearing a dark blue trousers and baby blue shirt? Hank was surprised and looked at Daniel. Yes. Do you know him? Daniel pressed his palm into his face. Oh, Hank. You are a complete idiot. That was Ruben, her teammate. Yesterday, after our meeting, George and I went downtown for some drinks. I met Chelsea and her teammates returning from a nights out. They were all drunk and Chelsea had to put them in a taxi. When Hank heard this, he froze in place. Wait, what? Daniel let out a bitter laughter. Hank, I am so disappointed in you. Every woman is not Alexandra. Not everyone is out to break your heart. If you should lose Chelsea because of your stupidity, I will never forgive you. He turned and left Hank's room. Hank had never seen Daniel this angry before. Hank turned to pick up his phone but realized he had cracked the screen the previous night. Finally dawned on him that he had actually forgotten his date with Chelsea. When he checked the time, it was already 1 p.m. Damn it! Hank shouted as he picked up the house phone and called Gina. He asked Gina to get him a new phone as soon as possible. Chelsea had spent all day at the park. She finally decided to go back home. When she approached her door, she saw a silhouette standing in front of her door. By his stature and height, she already knew who it was. She walked closer and stood in front of Hank. Chelsea, I am sorry. These were the first words that came out from Hank's mouth. Before he could continue, Chelsea raised her hand and stopped him from talking. She was exhausted and was trying so hard not to show weakness before him. After spending all day out, she had thought a lot about herself and her feelings. She didn't want history repeating itself. She didn't want her heart broken anymore. She would not let herself be in that dark place ever again. She gave a painful smile and said, Henry, you owe me no explanation. By the way, we are not in any form of relationship, so you might kiss anyone you feel connected to. But you know what hurt me the most? You stood me up at that coffee shop, Hank. That hurt more. Please, just go away. I have had my heart broken before. I don't want to find myself in that dark space again. She closed her eyes and inhaled. When she exhaled, she opened her eyes and continued. We are not right for each other, Hank. Goodbye. She finished speaking and walked into her apartment. Hank stood there planted like a sculpture. He could not move nor open his mouth to say nothing. Although Chelsea didn't cry, Hank could see so much pain in her eyes. All this pain was because of his stupidity. Hank turned and left. It had been 2 weeks. Hank tried calling and sending messages to Chelsea, but Chelsea had blocked his number. Back at Maximilian Hilden's, Chelsea was seated at her desk. She had buried all her pain and anguish into her work. She didn't let herself be dragged down by her emotions. As they sat carrying out their various tasks, Amelia Johnson walked in. Hello, everyone. Let me have your attention, please. Tonight is the annual Christmas banquet organized by the Fitzwilliam Group. For those who will represent our company this year, it will be Chelsea and Erica. There were murmurs in the group as others were happy and others jealous. Chelsea sat there with no emotion depicted. Every year, the Fitzwilliam Group organized a Christmas banquet for all its subsidiaries. 2 members were selected from each subsidiary to represent their company. This year, Daniel had specifically asked Amelia Johnson to put Chelsea's name on the list. Though Hank never attended such functions, Daniel had made it his goal to bring him there. He wanted both Hank and Chelsea to have a heart-to-heart conversation since Chelsea had blocked Hank. While others were out for lunch, Chelsea had stayed back. Suddenly, a delivery man entered with a bouquet of purple and blue hyacinths. When Chelsea saw these flowers, she knew who they came from. She knew the significance of the flowers. Blue and purple hyacinths were often used in Victorian era to convey a heartfelt apology and a wish to reconcile. She took the flowers and there was a card inside. When she opened the card, her heart was beating so fast. She started reading. "My dearest Chelsea, I know my face and my voice are probably the last things you want to see or hear at this point. The thought of losing you due to my mistake is unbearable. I truly hate the fact that I have hurt you this much. I deserve every treatment I am receiving from you right now. I am so sorry, Chelsea. Please give me a chance to make things right. Remember that I choose you and will always choose us. I don't expect to be forgiven immediately. But whenever you are ready, please remember that I will be right here waiting for you. Yours truly, Hank." After reading the letter, Chelsea's heart that had earlier on been broken automatically mended. She was in love with this man. She could no longer deny her feelings. She had spent so much time being angry with him, knowing fully well it was not completely his fault. She was going to make things right. She was going to fight for him. She was going to put every doubt behind and let their love bloom. "Wait for me, Hank. I am coming," Chelsea said as her mouth rose up into a smile. She was going to go over to his place after the banquet. Later that evening, Chelsea and Erica arrived at the event center. A wave of excitement washed over them. The vibrant decorations sparkled under the lights, and the sound of laughter filled the air. They exchanged thrilled glances, feeling the holiday spirit ignite as they stepped into the hall, ready to make unforgettable memories with their colleagues. As everyone gathered, the master of ceremony announced, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen. You are all welcome to the annual Christmas banquet organized by the Fitzwilliam Group." He paused and then continued, "This year we have a special guest. Most of you have never met him before, but today you will be privileged to meet the one and only Henry Fitzwilliam, CEO of the Fitzwilliam Group." There was a thunderous applause in the room as Daniel accompanied Hank to the stage. Hank strode confidently onto the stage, his tall, handsome figure commanding attention. The audience fell silent, captivated by his presence. With a charming smile and a twinkle in his eye, he began his speech, weaving words that resonated deeply, leaving everyone inspired and eager for more. "Have a lovely holiday," Hank concluded. Before he could walk off the stage, Clarissa walked to the stage with a bouquet of flowers and handed it to him. Before Hank could realize it, she placed a kiss to his cheek and said, "Thank you for gracing this occasion, Hank. This is a little token from all of us for being such a great boss." The whole hall gasped. What was going on? Is that Mr. Fitzwilliam's fiancé? She just called him by his nickname name, Hank. They must truly be close. Another woman standing by Chelsea said, "Oh my! I truly envy her. They look so good together." Chelsea couldn't believe what she had witnessed. A waiter holding a tray of champagne flutes was passing by. Chelsea grabbed 2 flutes and drank all of them in one go. Erica was stunned at Chelsea's action and spoke up. "Hey, Chelsea, slow down, okay? What is wrong with you?" Chelsea said nothing and rushed outside as she was feeling so heartbroken. She was short of breath as she rushed into the garden. She pressed her hands into her chest as her heart ached painfully. She felt as though her heart had been shredded into a million pieces. When she reached the farthest part of the garden, which had a little fountain, her feet became wobbly, and she came crashing down and buried her face into her palms. She felt so helpless as flashes of what the lady inside said kept ringing in her ears. Her world was crumbling, and the little hope she held for her and Hank was finally broken. This was it. She had been hurt all over again. Everything Hank wrote in the letter were all lies. Chelsea wept and cried like a child. Meanwhile, back in the hall, Daniel's face turned red with anger as he saw what Clarissa had done. This little demon, he muttered to himself. He knew Chelsea was there and had witnessed everything. He wanted to fix the skirmish between Hank and Chelsea, but Clarissa had spoiled everything. What is Clarissa doing here? I thought you sent her to the Luton branch. Hank too was surprised to see her there. Daniel, I don't know what she is doing here. But why are you so mad at me? Daniel shook his head and replied. You idiot. Chelsea is right here. I brought her here to surprise you so that you both could fix your issues. Instead, she got surprised. Hank could not believe it. What? Chelsea is here. Before he could say another word, Clarissa walked over to them and tried holding his hand. Hank, with a face that could kill, said in the coldest voice ever. Clarissa Adkins, I have given you so many chances, but you still chose the wrong route. Henceforth, you will no longer work with Fitzwilliam Group or any of its subsidiaries. You are fired. Clarissa was flabbergasted. She had only wanted to win Hank's heart. Losing her job was worst and not part of the plan. She thought she could have her way since Hank doted on her. The guards quickly dragged her out of the premises. Hank started aching the room to see if he could spot Chelsea. Daniel walked up to Erica and asked, Miss Langley, have you seen Chelsea? Erica turned and replied, She was standing here with me. Then suddenly she rushed outside without saying a word. Daniel turned to Hank and said, You go into the garden and check while I go over to the guards. When Hank got into the garden, he spotted Chelsea rolled like a ball and was weeping uncontrollably. He walked over, took off his jacket and placed on her. With a gentle voice, he said, Chelsea, come on. Let me take you home. The alcohol had kicked in and Chelsea was totally drunk. When she stood up, she staggered and almost fell, but Hank swiftly caught her and brought her closer. When Chelsea saw his face, she let out a sad laughter mixed with tears as she said, Henry Del Monte Fitzwilliam, congratulations for finally breaking my heart. You know what I regret the most? I regret the fact that our paths finally crossed. As she spoke, she passed out in his arms. This stung Hank's heart like a million pins. All he could mutter was, I am so sorry, Chelsea. What will happen next in the series? Is this the end of a love story that never started? Will Hank be able to come out of this dilemma? To know what happens next, keep listening to another exciting episode of your favorite audio series Unappreciated Treasure, which will be coming soon. Toodles.